Hello and welcome to the Computer Vault podcast, where we discuss the history of computers, computing and IT. I'm Aidan, and today's episode is continuing the mini-series on the first versions of Microsoft Windows, with this episode talking about Windows 2.0. If you are listening on Mixcloud, I'll be playing some music too, and episodes without music are available on all the mainstream podcast streaming platforms. Windows 2.0, released on December the 9th, 1987, was a significant update to Microsoft's graphical operating system for personal computers following Windows 1.0. Some key points about its history and features are mainly user interface enhancements. Unlike Windows 1.0, Windows 2.0 allowed users to overlap and resize application windows, making multitasking more user intuitive. Desktop icons and keyboard shortcuts were introduced to improve user navigation and efficiency, and support for 16-colour VGA graphics. This was a significant visual upgrade from the previous version. Application support. Windows 2.0 introduced these now iconic Microsoft Word and Excel applications, which helped drive its adoption. And the legal and market impact. Apple lawsuit. Apple filed a lawsuit against Microsoft in 1988, claiming that Windows 2.0 violated copyrights related to the Macintosh GUI interface. The court ultimately ruled in favour of Microsoft. The market reception. While not an immediate commercial success, Windows 2.0 laid the groundwork for future versions and helped Microsoft gain a stronger foothold in the operating system market. Legacy successor Windows 2.0 was succeeded by Windows 2.1 in May 1988, which continued to build on its features, and Microsoft ended support for Windows 2.0 on December the 31st, 2001. Windows 2.0 was a pivotal release that introduced several foundational elements of the modern Windows operating system. So how did it compare to other operating systems at the time? In 1987, Windows 2.0 faced competition from several other operating systems, and here's how it compared. MS-DOS. User interface. MS-DOS was a command line interface which was less user-friendly compared to the graphical interface of Windows 2.0. And multitasking. Windows 2.0 introduced overlapping windows and better multitasking capabilities, while MS-DOS was primarily single tasking. Apple Macintosh System Software. User interface. The Apple Macintosh System Software, later known as Mac OS, had a more polished graphical user interface with features like overlapping windows and icons, which Windows 2.0 adopted. And performance. The Macintosh systems were known for their smooth performance and ease of use, setting a high bar for graphical operating systems. IBM OS 2. OS 2 was co-developed by IBM and Microsoft, and early versions looked similar to Windows 2.0. OS 2 was designed to be more robust and capable of handling more complex tasks, but it required more advanced hardware, which limited its adoption. Amiga OS, or Amiga OS. Amiga OS, developed by Commodore, was known for its advanced graphics and multimedia capabilities, which were superior to those of Windows 2.0. Amiga OS also featured preemptive multitasking, which was more advanced than the cooperative multitasking in Windows 2.0. Unix-based systems were known for their stability and power, making them popular in academic and professional environments. These systems typically had less user-friendly interfaces compared to Windows 2.0, which aimed to be more accessible to the average user. Overall, Windows 2.0 was a significant step forward for Microsoft, introducing features that made personal computing more accessible and user-friendly. However, it still had to catch up with the more advanced graphical capabilities and multitasking features of some of its competitors. Windows 2.1, released on May 27, 1988, brought several notable improvements over its predecessor, Windows 2.0. Some of the key enhancements: variants and memory management. Windows 286 and Windows 386. Windows 2.1 was released in two variants to take advantage of different CPU capabilities. Windows 286 was designed for the 802086 processor, whilst Windows 386 was optimized for the 80386 processor. Windows 386 introduced a protected mode kernel, allowing it to use extended memory and emulate expanded memory. This enabled better multitasking and the ability to run multiple MS-DOS programs simultaneously. Both variants of Windows 2.1 offered improved performance and efficiency compared to Windows 2.0. The use of extended memory in Windows 286 and the advanced memory management in Windows 386 contributed to these enhancements. Windows 2.1 was the first version of Windows to require a hard disk drive for installation, reflecting the increased complexity and capabilities of the operating system. While the user interface did not see major changes from Windows 2.0, the overall stability and usability of the system were improved, making it more reliable for users. The improvements in Windows 2.1 helped increase its adoption, particularly in business environments where the enhanced memory management and multitasking capabilities were valuable. Windows 2.1 set the stage for future developments in the Windows operating system, leading to the more successful Windows 3.0. Some of the key differences between Windows 2.0 and 2.1. Release dates. Windows 2.0 was released on December the 9th, 1987, and Windows 2.1 was released on May the 27th, 1988. The variants. Windows 2.0 came in a single version, whilst Windows 2.1 introduced two variants, Windows 286 and Windows 386. Memory management. Windows 2.0 had basic memory management capabilities, whilst Windows 2.1 for the Windows 286 variant utilised the high memory area for better memory management, and for the Windows 386 variant introduced a protected mode kernel allowing the use of extended memory and emulation of expanded memory, enabling better multitasking and running multiple MS-DOS programs simultaneously. Performance and efficiency. Windows 2.0 improved over Windows 1.0 but still limited in multitasking and memory management. Windows 2.1 offered enhanced performance and efficiency, particularly in the Windows 386 variant, which leveraged the advanced capabilities of the 8386 processor. Hardware requirements. Windows 2.0 did not require a hard disk drive, but Windows 2.1 required a hard disk drive for installation, which reflected its increased complexity and capabilities. User interface. Windows 2.0 introduced overlapping windows, desktop icons, and keyboard shortcuts, and Windows 2.1 maintained the same user interface as Windows 2.0, but with improved stability and usability. Market impact. Windows 2.0 laid the groundwork for future Windows versions, but had limited commercial success. But Windows 2.1 saw increased adoption, especially in business environments, due to its enhanced memory management and multitasking capabilities. Windows 2.1, built on the foundation of Windows 2.0, introduced significant improvements in memory management, performance, and hardware requirements, which helped pave the way for the more successful Windows 3.0. Windows 2.0 is considered to be an incremental improvement of its predecessor, but still a work in process. Due to improvements, Windows gained more popularity after its release, and its interface was considered to be easier to manage. Byte magazine listed the variant as among the distinction winner of the Byte Awards in 1989, describing it as a serious competition for OS2, as it taps into the power of the 8386. The operating environment cost $99. Sales of Microsoft Windows reached 1 million in 1988, and by January 1990 it had reached less than 2 million, although Windows 2.0 was not widely used. IBM licensed Windows GUI for OS2 as Presentation Manager, and the two companies stated that it and Windows 2.0 would be almost identical. Windows 2.0 was shipped with 15 programs, and it was also introduced the GUI-based programs Microsoft Word and Excel to compete against the then reigning competitors WordPerfect and Lotus 123. Software such as Aldus PageMaker and Corel Draw were also developed specifically for Windows 2.0. The enhancements that were introduced in Windows 2.1 are considered to have improved Windows 2.0. The Windows 386 variant had a good level of functionality, and it lets applications run in full or partial screen windows, while the operating system also slows down when running graphic-based applications. The 386 was rated an excellent value at the time. Alongside Desk View, 386. They were considered to be the most popular 386 environments by 1989, although DeskView 386 is considered to be more flexible than Windows 2.0. Compared to other 386 based systems, Windows 2.0 required less DOS memory. The price tag for Windows 286 sat at $99, whilst the Windows 386 variant cost $195. Windows 2.1 was shipped with 1.2 MB 5¼ inch or 720K 3.5 inch floppy disks. The Windows 2.1 386 variant also came with a user guide, a quick reference card, and a manual that explains the features of the 386 variant. Windows 2.11 was released on March 13, 1989. As the successor of Windows 2.1, it was also released in Windows 286 and Windows 386 variants, with some minor changes in memory management and updates regarding printing options. It was noted that costs for organisations that ran Windows 2.11 at the time were generally lower. By January 1990, the sales of Microsoft Windows had reached less than 2 million. Windows 2.1 is considered to be the first version of Microsoft Windows to perform well both critically and commercially. So that brings us to the end of the episode talking about the history of Microsoft Windows 2.0. I've mentioned dates from 1987, 88, 89, 1990 and 2001, so if you're listening on Mixcloud, that's where the music selection has come from for this episode. Thank you for listening to the Computer Vault podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review on whichever platform you're listening on, and be sure to come back for our next episode, which will continue our mini-series on the Windows operating systems. You can also check out my website at www.computervault.co.uk. Until then, leaving you with a quote from Bill Gates: "The computer will live your life, listen to you, and understand you better than human can."